Huddle Up Podcast. It is the 5 Observations with Big Jim. I am your host, Big Jim. It is Sunday night, January the 29th, 2023. As I'm sitting down to record this, just got through the end of championship weekend in the National Football League. The Eagles, barf, and the Chiefs, meh, are heading to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 57, 2 weeks from tonight. We will have coverage on Huddle Up Podcast. Not this week. We are not going to have our normal Huddle Up Podcast this week. Tuesday night, have some other plans. So we will be simulcasting with the Student of the Game podcast, Kyle Nash, a student of the game who is with us each and every week through the season. We'll be joining his podcast this week. So make sure you are following along with us on YouTube, youtube.com/@HuddleUpPodcast, and everywhere you can find the Student of the Game podcast live and in podcast form, because that is where we will be this week. And then, of course, we'll be back the following Tuesday, previewing the Super Bowl and all of that, as normal on Tuesday next week at 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can follow the show at Huddle Up Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. You can get the show on all podcast platforms. Got our merchandise over at tpublic.com. Got the 5 observations for this week. And we will start. The one good thing that happened to me in sports today. The Dallas Cowboys and Kellen Moore mutually agreed to part ways per reports. Now, Kellen Moore has been the offensive coordinator with the Cowboys. He had previously been the quarterback's coach. He's been with the organization here for a little while. The offense, I know there's some people that are like, well, they put up numbers. They were one of the most high-powered offenses in the NFL this year. Why are they moving on? Why are they making this change? The bottom line is you have a quarterback that is regressing. You have questionable play calling. And in a lot of big game situations, not just this year, but in previous seasons, you kind of got outplayed, outmatched, and you lost games you should have won. So a really kind of an off-season of change for the Cowboys. It looks like the majority of the assistant coaches have not been renewed. Kellen Moore now gone. Dan Quinn back. Announced this week, pulled his name from various head coaching positions that he was interviewing for. But it's a off season of change for the Cowboys, and hopefully there will be personnel changes from a roster standpoint, difficult ones. We're looking at you, Zeke Elliott, that hopefully the Cowboys will make as well, that they need to make as well going into this off season. They announced, or didn't announce, but the report is that Mike McCarthy, the head coach, will be calling plays. Now, will they bring in somebody else to assist with the offense? That is unknown at this point. I look at this two ways. One, I think McCarthy is very smart. I've been difficult with, frustrated with him at times, justifiably so. I have asked Jerry to fire him into the sun. Obviously, Jerry didn't listen. But I don't know if Kellen Moore was ever the right guy to run Mike McCarthy's offense. I don't think they ever really truly got along. So, as a Cowboys fan, I have nothing, not that I can do anything about it. But this is the only hope I can cling to, that the change on offense, offensive play calling is going to make a difference. And also, it's a twofold good thing for Cowboys fans, because now with McCarthy calling the plays, he's in charge. He's running the show. If it's successful and you go to the NFC title game or go to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl next year, then problem solved. You did what you wanted to do. You did the thing that you made the changes for, right? But if it doesn't go well, Mike McCarthy doesn't have the excuses anymore. Well, I didn't have my coaching staff. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. You don't have that anymore. So if the Cowboys fail again next year, all signs point to Mike McCarthy. And then I think at that point you gotta start considering making a head coaching change. But yeah, I'm happy to see Kellen Moore gone. I have not liked him as an offensive coordinator since the Clapper was still on the sidelines for Dallas. So, number 2 observation this week: I don't understand baseball Hall of Fame voting. I don't. Scott Rowland, Fred McGriff got into the Baseball Hall of Fame this year. 5 years ago, when Scott Rowland was first eligible to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, he received 10% of the votes. 5 years later, he received 76% of votes to be inducted Hall of Fame worthy. Like what changed? You know, what changed in those 5 years? Like how is Scott Rowland in 2023 more Hall of Fame worthy than he was in 2018? Like if a guy's Hall of Fame worthy, he's Hall of Fame worthy. And I understand you only have so many votes to go around. I guess is that the excuse? If somebody understands this stuff, tweet it at me at Big Jim Sports. We'll have a conversation. I may even invite you on the show, and when we get into our off-season program, to help me understand how all this works. Maybe I'll ask the guys over the Dollar Dogs and Beer podcast, give them a follow as they are working through their Major League Baseball season preview for this year, going division by division. But yeah, I don't get it. Scott Rowland should be a Hall of Famer, by the way. This isn't me saying that he should not be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's one of the better third basemen that has ever played. So, it's not that I'm anti Scott Rowland in the Hall of Fame. But the voting is just, that's what I don't understand. 10% of the vote. To be Hall of Fame eligible 5 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's 70 plus. That's what I don't understand. All right, third observation this week: the NFC Championship game sucked. There's really no good way to spin it. It sucked. And no, it is not just because the Philadelphia Eagles won and are heading to the Super Bowl, but it is also because the Philadelphia Eagles won and are headed to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I have to choke down my vomit every time I say that. But here's the thing. Look, I predicted when I gave my thoughts on what the game this coming week, I said I thought that the San Francisco 49ers had to be better than they were a week ago when they played the Dallas Cowboys if they were going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Defensively, I think they were better for a little while. Obviously, offensively, they weren't. The injury to Brock Purdy, then the injury to Josh Johnson, and then you had to bring back in an injured Brock Purdy who really was completely ineffective as a thrower. But what were you going to do at that point? Put Christian McCaffrey in? I know the NFL has the 2 quarterback rule and then the emergency quarterback thing. Who wants to bet that gets changed by next year after this game? But I thought all or at least most of the season that the Eagles were the better team and the best team in the NFC, and they proved that. And I thought it was up to the Niners D to show up. They did as much as they could. Like I said, the injuries on the offensive side were too much to overcome. As good as the Eagles are, and I've praised the Eagles throughout the year. I've defended them as being the number 1 or number 2 team on power rankings, and Jalen Hurts for MVP, and at times Nick Sirianni as Coach of the Year. But man, there's and I don't like to necessarily use the word luck, but I don't have a better word tonight. You get this Niners team who is beat up, and then Purdy gets hurt and Johnson gets hurt, and I guess lucky's not the right way to put it. I don't know the right way to put it. There's fate, something like that. The Eagles definitely had things break their way throughout the season and the postseason for sure. Subplot here to this, because I saw a lot of people talking, particularly during this game, about how Nick Sirianni should be the coach of the year, and they were saying it because of this game. Which, first off, let's be fair. Awards like Coach of the Year are regular season awards. So what happened Super Wildcard Weekend, Divisional Weekend, or Championship Weekend have no bearing on Coach of the Year, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. It doesn't work that way. They're regular season awards. Doug Peterson, in my opinion, should still be the NFL Coach of the Year this year. This isn't a slight on Nick Sirianni. It's not a slight on Brian Daboll with the Giants. What it is it's saying what I believe is true, that Doug Peterson did the best coaching job in the National Football League this season. He took a team that was in the dumps. You had NFL players, not rookies, not second-year players. You had veteran players in some instances that didn't believe in themselves because of the way that Urban Meyer ran that team. It's documented. Guys have publicly said it. Unless tweets and reports from NFL writers are wrong. I don't remember who the players were. I'd have to dig in a little bit deeper. But to take that team and to turn them around, and even in this season turn them around and win the division. And I understand. The AFC South is trash. I'm not sitting here and saying that it is a quote unquote great division to win. But you still did it. And you still charge down the back half of the regular season to do it. And you still want, again, it doesn't count. Ultimately, they still want a playoff game as well. It doesn't impact the award, but it also shows how good Doug Peterson did with this team. Again, Nick Sirianni did a hell of a job with this Eagles team, right? What was it, 13-0, 14-0? I forget how many games the Eagles started off undefeated. And you stumbled a little bit late because of the injury to Hurts and some other guys. But clearly Nick Sirianni is a really good head coach, whether you like him or not. And I'm not here to debate that. You can have your opinion on Nick Sirianni all you want. I have mine. Not a fan. I shouldn't be. I'm a Cowboys fan. I shouldn't like the Eagles coach, okay? But he's clearly a good coach. He's clearly a really good coach. He has this team into the Super Bowl. Doesn't mean he should be coach of the year for the regular season. Brian Daboll with the Giants. And yes, I know it's Daboll. I'm being purposely obtuse here. Brian Daboll did a great job. Exceeded expectations in his first year with head coach of the Giants. But here's the thing. Every argument you can make for Daboll, you can also make for Doug Peterson. and Doug Peterson won a division. I get the Giants were in a division with the Cowboys, who finished 13-4 or 12-5, whatever the hell it was, and with the Eagles, who were the number 1 seed. So it was a harder climb. But the Giants also got lucky a lot. Okay? So they got lucky. They got breaks that went their way. That doesn't necessarily mean that he should be coach of the year. He did, and that they, quote unquote, earned that spot. Sometimes you luck into things. And luck is great in sports. Absolutely. You can get the bounces going your way. But Doug Peterson's the coach of the year. The AFC title game was wild, man. Certainly a much better game than the NFC. The Chiefs advance. Much like the Eagles in the early game, the Chiefs were the better team today. And the Chiefs deserved to win today, and they did. Kudos to them and their coaching staff to put the game plan together to beat this Bengals team. We've talked about it. I've talked about it on this show, on the weekly Huddle Up podcast, that the Bengals seemed like this team of destiny that didn't want to lose. That almost couldn't lose. But somewhere along the way, the Bengals didn't prepare enough to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. They're calling it Burrowhead. They're getting this swagger to them, and that's fine. But I thought there came a point, and I don't know if it was before Week 18, after Week 18, between the wild card round, the divisional round, but I felt like the Bengals were just kind of getting a little bit inflated in their own room because of everything that went down Week 17. You had the chip on your shoulder. You thought the coin flip was a slap in the face, yada, yada. We've talked about it. But I thought the Bengals maybe did not prepare well enough or just did not come in mentally tough enough to win today. The Chiefs did. The Chiefs were tired of hearing about Burrow owning the Chiefs and owning Mahomes and Burrowhead and all of those things, all of those narratives, all of that bulletin board material. Why would you give bulletin board material to a team who has been in the AFC Championship for 5 straight years or whatever it is? Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him. Not good, Bob. Not great, Bob. But yeah, the Chiefs did what they had to do. Unfortunately, with this game, and honestly the earlier game, a bit, officiating once again becomes part of the discussion. And look, the late hit call, Osai, the late hit, that's not a bad call. So Chiefs or Bengals fans, if you're doing it, stop it. Stop complaining about that call. Sports media members, stop complaining about that call because that call was the right call. Okay? And it's not impacting the game. Was it Emmanuel Acho was talking about how referees should not be impacting the game, they should be calling the game? That's exactly what they did. Mahomes was well out of bounds when the hit was made, okay? You may not like the rule. You may not like that it was ruled correctly in that moment. But that call was ruled correctly. You want to take issue with the officiating today? In either game, in both games, all season, all playoffs? Go ahead. Because there's justifiable arguments for all of them. Hell, on the play where the late hit occurred, the Chiefs left tackle had an egregious hold. I understand there's holding on every play. I get it. I'm not ignorant to that fact. But it was egregious. on that play. There was some other stuff in that fourth quarter. I missed some of it. I had stuff I was doing around the house. I know, bad football fan, whatever. But the holding that was missed, there was something with an extra third down play, something like that. Like, you want to get mad at calls, get mad at the ones that were ruled the wrong way, that weren't called when they should have been, that were home cooking calls. Okay, you want to get mad at them, get mad at those. You want to get mad at them, get mad at the ones that are justifiable to get mad at, not one that by the book is cut and dry and was made correctly. But the thing that sucks is once again, on a championship weekend, we're sitting here and we're having a discussion, a justifiable discussion about officiating in the National Football League. Ultimately, that's what really sucks. Because there was one really fun game today, and then there was the NFC Championship. But man, I think we've talked about it on Huddle Up this year. I don't remember if it was during the regular season or if it was on the last off-season program. But man, it is long overdue for this league to hire full-time employed officials, because the system they have now ain't working. But congratulations to the Chiefs. Congratulations to the Eagles. My fifth observation this week is I'm just going to give some early thoughts on Super Bowl 57 coming up 2 weekends from now in Arizona, State Farm Stadium. I am already tired of hearing about the Kelsey Bowl and the Reed Bowl. It's insufferable. And I get it. It's first time brothers have played each other in the Super Bowl. Reed playing his former team. I get it. Already tired of hearing about it. A cool thing is it's the first time ever in the history of the National Football League that the two teams playing in the Super Bowl are being quarterbacked by black quarterbacks. So that's awesome. That is awesome. I think the Eagles match up better against Kansas City than they would have against Cincinnati. I think this is a better game for the Eagles, unfortunately. Mahomes obviously is clearly the more dynamic quarterback when you're comparing him versus Joey Burr. But I think overall, I think the Bengals are the more complete team. I think the Bengals can be more disruptive to the Eagles' offense. I think the Bengals' defense is more disruptive to the Eagles' offense. I think with the exception of the quarterback position, don't get me wrong, Joey Burr is fantastic. Joey Burr makes unbelievable plays, but he's more fundamentally sound. Mahomes is like a damn video game. But I think overall the Bengals offense is better than the Chiefs offense. Watch out for Kelsey. Try and contain Mahomes. You're probably going to have a pretty good day. Mahomes the wild card. Mahomes is a wild card. Always is. Eagles have their path to victory if they can contain him and just continue to play like you've played all season. My early prediction. This isn't my official prediction. We'll make that on the Huddle Up podcast next Tuesday night when we are back and we are live. But sorry, I just had to choke down a little vom. My early prediction is Eagles 34 or 35, Chiefs 24. And the Philadelphia Eagles over their second Super Bowl win in 5 years. So there it is. There's 5 observations for this week. Make sure you're following along with us. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports. Follow along with the show at Huddle Up Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Get our merchandise over at tpublic.com. Hit the link tree in all of our social media and on YouTube as well. Remember, we will be with the Student of the Game simulcasting this week. So make sure you tune into that. You can get that on our YouTube feed or wherever you can find the Student of the Game podcast. And we'll be back live next week previewing the Super Bowl, probably touching on the new Pro Bowl activities. But looking ahead to Super Bowl 57 and getting all the more close to wrapping up our live season for the year. But until next time when we talk to you, do not miss the other podcasts on the Huddle Up feed. And until then, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.